Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Lens Loop IDE webinar. I'm Flavius Dino, a Developer Relations Manager here at Lens, and I'm joined today by my colleague Jyrki Juti, our AI Product Manager. So here is the agenda for today. I will cover a brief overview of what is Loop and what problems we are trying to solve with it in less than a couple of minutes. So basically then Jyrki will show you a live demo of Loop, and in the end we will have a Q&A session, and after that we'll see just some tips on how to get started with Loop. So what is Lens Loop? Well, it's an IDE for AI and LLMs that brings you the exact same UI, UX, and observability to AI and LLMs in the same way that Lens Kubernetes IDE does for the Kubernetes workflows. Usually, AI and LLM systems are black boxes, making it nearly impossible to understand what's happening under the hood. And with Loop, we are trying to break open this black box by giving you the visibility you need into every LLM interaction that you have. We've also identified a couple of problems in the LLM space that are also backed by thorough research. And one of them is how do you actually measure the quality of your LLM responses in production? And the other one is how do you actually go about mitigating hallucinations? Well, with Loop, you get continuous observability, automated quality measurement to your prompts and whatever you use in your AI workflows. And you also get data-driven improvement. So the observability component in Loop means that you can see how your LLM behaves in production using only open telemetry instrumentation. You don't need any extra libraries or code changes, as Loop actually turns open telemetry spans into a clear view of prompts, responses, and also system behaviors. The measurement component in Loop actually means automatically evaluating all the LLM response qualities using judges and evaluators. There is no manual review or ad hoc testing required, as Loop actually turns production LLM data into consistent quality scores and actionable insights. And the last but not least, the improvement component in Loop means that you can turn your production data into evidence through our remix feature. And there is no guesswork required here because Loop actually gives teams the confidence that their changes are validated before they are reaching production. So now that you have like an idea of how what Loop is and how it actually works, I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Jyrki to actually show you a demo. So Jyrki.
Hello, my name is Jyrki and I'm the product manager of Loop. So before we jump into the demo, here's a quick overview of what we're gonna cover. So first, I'm gonna show you how to capture real LLM traffic from a simple console application. Then let's see the evaluations in action. And finally, I'll show how we can improve the app based on the evidence what we collected from the evaluations. So let's get started. Um, Here, what we have is this Loop running in my local laptop. So it's a free desktop application, and by default, it runs with the local Loop server. So nothing here depends on any external cloud services. Loop can fully run on premises or even in air-gapped environment. In production, you can choose where you run Loop server. So of course, on premises is still available, or you can use your own AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud environment. And yeah, once Loop is installed, it's immediately usable. So let me show how it works. So this welcome page, this is the starting point of Loop. So we have this explore Loop here on the left-hand side of the page. And we have three different options. So we have this pre-populated data, which is here in the demo project. You can check out what is going on there, or you can take this interactive tour, which is a built-in app, a demo app. You can check that one out, or you can download a project from a GitHub. So this explore loop, it will give you and help you understand what the product does. But Loop really becomes valuable when you start capturing your LLM data from the application you are building. So the right-hand section is for that. So this is the first interesting part. So how to capture the LLM traffic from your application. So we have two options for that. The AI assisted setup, and if you click this one, you will open up, you can get this view here, and here are instructions what you can copy, and you paste these to your AI assistant. For example, to Copilot, and then the AI assistant will do the modifications to your source code so that your project will then start capturing through loop the traffic between the app and to the LLM endpoint. A really easy way to start going on with loop. The second option is the manual setup. So you modify one or a couple of lines of source code, and then loop will start capturing data. So next, I'm going to show how the manual setup is done. So I have this super simple console application here. It sends a prompt to the LLM and prints a response. So at this point, there is no data capture enabled yet. And of course, this is a really simple example so that everybody can understand what Loop does and how it works. Of course, your real life project might be a lot more complex, but you will get the point here. So I asked, like, for example, what is the capital of USA, and then of course this application will return through the ChatGPT an answer. So now if I want to go or modify this in a way that Loop will capture the traffic, I will go to the source code of the app, and I will do only one modification here. So I will change the API endpoint to Loop server, and here we have the Loop server running locally. And then when this change is done, Loop server sits between your application and LLM. So all traffic will go through the Loop server with this change. So this is so-called proxy mode. So the proxy mode is the fast and easy way to get started and really good for local development. So if you are in production, then of course this proxy mode is not something we're going to recommend. So then we have a second option, which is open telemetry. So then you're going to do the modifications to your project so that the open telemetry is enabled. And when the open telemetry is instrumented, then you're going to get the data to Loop through open telemetry. So your application just emits telemetry directly to Loop so that the actual traffic never goes through the Loop server. So that reduces all the risks in the production environment, and you also get a richer context, like, for example, MCP servers and tool calls, database calls, file system calls, all those kind of things can be also hooked up into Loop through open telemetry. So the visibility is extended. And overall, you get like a better control, of course, like the sampling rate and performance and that kind of stuff. But now when I have done these modifications, let's run the app again. And I have the Loop here. Let's go to my default project in Loop, which is here, and I click the spans. And now the spans is empty, as we can see. And now if I ask the same question again in this super simple console application, what is the capital of USA? And then we're gonna get the answer, and we can see that because Loop sits in between now, between your app and the LLM endpoint, it observes all the interactions so that you can see all that span immediately here in Loop. So of course, in real systems, requests don't come one by one. So I have one simple example here where I simulate 5 questions. So it will generate 5 country capital requests. So you can see that the question is here, and they will automatically appear also in Loop. So so next, if you think about like a more real life questions. So questions are not always that simple. So it might be like a little bit more problematic. So if we then add up questions, a little bit more problematic questions, like for example, what is the capital of Alaska? So like we know, Alaska is not a country, but let's see, still the LLM returned quite valid value. Or of course, if we go to what is the capital of Europe, then it's a little bit different kind of an answer. And then if we go a little bit more crazy, let's ask what is the capital of planet Jupiter. So, and now we got the answers here. So we still got, of course, all the answers from the LLM. And this is the way how we can get all this traffic from your application to Loop and see what is going on. So now I can start browsing through these questions here. So if I click, for example, this what is the capital of Europe, I can see all these properties from trace properties, span properties, Gen AI properties. Like for example, the system prompt, user prompt, the answer, a model, endpoint, tokens, cost, etc. So you can have the full visibility of what is going on with your LLM. And also we have a tools section here. In this one, I didn't have any tool calls, but if you have tool calls available, then the tool calls will be here. And then if the tool call is doing, for example, some file system operations or database operations, we can get also through OpenTelemetry the information from there into Loop, so that you can see what is going on there with in your backend system. So of course the next question is that how we're going to evaluate this stuff what we have here. So that's of course the next thing. So let me show how these evaluations work. And when we start evaluating, it's quite important to understand that if you look only one request, it might be quite misleading, because we really want to understand how our solution works as a whole, like in a bigger context. So, and of course, in production environment, it might be that we have a lot of requests coming in. So now if I ask to simulate 100 spans more, we can see that data is coming into Loop. So we can pause this loop over here, this view. Spans are still coming in, as we can see here in our app, but now we can work with this case. So now when I want to see that what is going on with, what is the evaluation of this, I can select these spans. Let's say that I will select something like 15 of these, and I will create the data set. So here we have an option to create a data set, and I name it capital data set, and it's example data set. I create that. Now we're gonna have our data set here, which contains these 15 spans. We still have this live spans going on. If I play, I can see that now there are like 80 something spans coming in. So that's running there, but now I really want to work with the data set. So I understand what is this evaluation, what are the scores for these spans, what I have selected to my data set. So the next step, when I want to evaluate this, I will go through evaluation. And when I create an evaluation, first I need the evaluator. So I have it here on the left side menu. I click it. And of course, the evaluators might be different. It depends on your goals. So usually it is the quality goal, what you have, but it might be completely something else. For example, quite common is the security goal. Like if the LLM response is something like secured information, what you really don't want to push to the users of your app, then that's one thing. It can be the cost evaluation, electricity consumption evaluation, or it can be like a model consistency evaluation, which measures basically like if you have two different models, so how they behave, is it a consistent behavior between those two different models when the given input is same? So that's of course one area. In Loop, we have 3 different types of evaluators. One is this built-in evaluator here, and of course, these built-in evaluators are something that Loop will provide you. So it's a easy starting point. You can get immediately started with this. It's the fastest way to start evaluating real LLM traffic. And the second option is this custom evaluation, and I have created one here already. And these custom ones are something that you can fine tune and modify the evaluation prompt as you want. So both of these, the custom evaluation and the built-in evaluator, these are LLM-based judges. So LLM will do the trick here. So with custom evaluator, you will set up your evaluation prompt, criteria, and then you select what model you want to use. So and of course, when you are building up these custom evaluators, it's a super great thing because there is no such thing as a generic evaluator which works in every different domain or every different project context. So it really depends on the context what you have. And then we have a third option, which is external evaluators. So this is a cool feature. You can plug in your own external evaluator into Loop, and now it runs outside of Loop. The other ones run in Loop server, but this external one, it runs wherever you want it to run. And with this one, you can have basically a rules-based engine, classifier, some kind of a validation service, or any customer-specific logic what you want to have here. So Loop simply consumes the results, and your external judge will do the work. So this really supports like enterprise requirements, and it avoids this vendor lock-in as well. So for this demo, I'm going to use this country capital evaluation. So I will go back to the dataset what we have defined. And of course, when you define your own dataset, you should have the spans in it like picked up in a way that it's create requests and responses from evaluation point of view. So now when I'm back here, I will go to this button, click create a new evaluation. So we have the evaluator in place, we have the dataset in place, and now we evaluate this dataset. So I give it the name capital eval. I select the evaluator, which is the one I have here already. The target is this capital data set, so it's already defined here. And then I can have other parameters as well, but I'm happy with this one. So I click create. And now, as you can see, the new column will appear here and the values will drop in. So if I modify this a little bit, we can see our evaluator doing its job, and now it's completed. We have value for all these different spans. And if you check out a little bit where the score wasn't that good, for example, this what is the capital of Jupiter? It was the score was 0. Same with the Alaska thing and the Europe question. So everything else, the score was 100%. So this is exactly the kind of issue what you see in real life production. So because it's quite difficult to understand what kind of questions people will ask, or if agent is calling your LLM service, that what kind of results it will give. So beforehand in staging or testing. So you really want to see from the production data what is going on. And then of course the next question is that how we can improve this. What are the improvement tools here? And this is when the improvement tools come in. So in Loop, we call that a remix. So instead of guessing or tweaking things blindly, we can now make these changes based on evidence. So I'm going to show how it works. So I will go back to the dataset. This is the dataset what we have here. And here's the option to open up the remix. So it will open up this window when I click it. And now I will type down remix dataset. So this is a new dataset what the remix will create. I select the evaluation, which was this capital eval, and then the model. Let's go with the GPT-4o in this one. And then I have the system prompt here. So I can keep the original system prompt if I have changed the model, or I can replace that. So this was the original system prompt, but now I have created the new system prompt. Let me pick it up. It is quite extended, so it's a quite big one, but it really gives great scores and values. So this is something you should define yourself in your own project, in your use case. So this is something what we have already defined before this webinar. So now when I start Remix, so we can see that there are the 15 spans, and it will evaluate or run with this concept, with these settings what I set. Then with the new model and with the new system prompt, it will execute again the same spans selected in this data set. So now we can see that we have in the datasets area, we have two different datasets, the original capital dataset and then the Remix dataset. Both have, of course, 15 spans. And now if I click this Remix dataset, we can see that this evaluator is already run. So it will automatically run immediately when you create this Remix. So now with this new Remix version with the new system prompt, the score is 100%, like for each of these spans. And also the output, it was like a little bit bigger text. It was something like, for example, what is the capital of Finland? The answer was the capital of Finland is Helsinki, and that kind of stuff. Now the output is only the name of the capital. And also to these questions like, what is the capital of Europe? The answer now is that the question is not a valid country capital query. So, for example, if you have an agent asking these kind of questions, it's good that this noise is filtered out. So, super cool way, a good way to improve your app. And like I said, this is, of course, a simple use case, what I saw here, but really in your production environment, we can do the same stuff with Loop. So good way to improve overall your LLM and your application. So that's definitely a way to go. Overall, what we have done now, so first, we captured the traffic from LLM. Like I said, there are two different options, the proxy mode or the OpenTelemetry option. Then we evaluated the LLMs, and finally we modified those ones, and the modifications was based on evidence. Now we know that when with the new system prompt, the score is 100%, so we can modify our source code and add that new system prompt there. Of course, if we would have modified the model, then we change the model to in our production to the one what we remixed here. So that's the thing. I would say that's basically it from the demo point of view. So next, I'm up for questions.
Thank you so much, Jyrki, for this awesome demo. So we have a single question. So I'm going to just pop it on the screen right now. So this is the question that we received. So is Loop a tool? Well, Loop is a desktop application that can help you with anything AI and LLM, as Jyrki already showed you. We also receive some questions. So we have some frequently asked questions that we sometimes receive, like does Loop access or store people's production data? Would you like to take a stab on it, Jyrki, or would you like me to go through it?
Yeah, I can definitely take that. So Loop is not a tool. I can extend the answer a little bit further. So yeah, Loop is a desktop application, but then there is also this Loop server part. So the graphical user interface, that's the desktop app, but then we can have the Loop server. That's where these evaluations are run. So it's a little bit both. So it is definitely a tool, but then this Loop server is something we really want to run in production to have these evaluations which are running there. So that's it. What was the second question?
So the second question is, does Loop access or store our production data?
Yeah, so It stores data, but Loop can be run in completely in on-premises. So there's no connection to cloud services. So you have fully like you can manage everything by yourself. It can be in air-capped mode. So yeah, you can basically run it on in your basement or whatever is the best way for you. So, but yeah, it definitely it collects data, but it's secured in your environment.
Cool. And one last thing that I also saw usually that people ask us is, can we use Loop with our existing observability stack?
Yes, it's definitely doable with the proxy mode. That's an easy way to start like we did in the demo. But then if you really want to have it like in production, you should instrument OpenTelemetry first. And of course, there are a lot of instructions how to do that. And we have that available also in the Loop documentation. And when that's in place, then you can get these spans into Loop through OpenTelemetry. So first, I would say that start with the proxy mode, and when you're happy with that, then go to this OpenTelemetry. And OpenTelemetry is used heavily in production environments nowadays. So, and people are and companies are going into that direction. So that's definitely a way to go.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jyrki, for answering all these questions. So it seems like we don't have any other questions. So what I'll do is I'll actually walk you through some tips on how to get started with Loop. So basically, what you should do initially is you have to understand what kind of LLM challenges you have right now. So is it performance? Is it cost management? Is it quality and accuracy? Do you have gaps in your observability? I mean, this is something that only you can know. You know your own challenges, and you should actually pick the ones that are the most painful for your organization right now. The next thing that you should do is actually run a pilot with Loop on this limited scope that you defined, and you should also have like clear success criteria implemented. And in the end, always try to make scaling decisions based on evidence. Measurable improvements should always be proven. And don't worry, our team will be here to support your pilot and help you with decision making, so you won't be alone at all in the process. And if you are actually ready to learn even more about Lens Loop and how it can actually help with your workflow, you can book a demo with us on lenshq.io. It's pretty straightforward. You don't have to fill in a long form in order to do that. You can just go to our website and that's it. And that being said, that's basically it for this webinar. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and see you the next time. Bye.